Hey, are you a beginner trader that's getting caught up in the smaller time frames? Do you want to see the bigger picture of what's going on? Do you want to look at the macro with me right now? Let's do it. We're going to look at Bitcoin. We're going to look at Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, total 3, the NASDAQ, the S&P, gold, the DXY, and really blow your mind. We're going to put all this together and show you how it gives us a pretty good picture and some probabilities of where we could be going in the week ahead. Jump on in with me. Let's do it. I'm Sam Price, the Crypto Lifer. Let's have a blast. So we're jumping on into the monthly because it's August 15th and we're halfway through the month already. Now, if this candle would close right now, that would be somewhat bearish. Two big wicks of that size next to each other to me is never a great sign for continuation to the upside. What it tells me is we could have some trouble. I would prefer if this monthly candle did close above 123,000, above this previous wick. That would give us a lot more confidence that this rising wedge is going to break up and not to the downside. You know, there's still this talk that Bitcoin's going to go parabolic and have this big move and they're going to cut that rate and everything's going to go our way. But, you know, so much kind of has to go our way for that to happen. One little snag, one little wrong move, we get some liquidity grabs and, you know, this falling wedge could break to the upside. Maybe it makes a double bottom at one point. You never know. So this rising wedge could break to the downside. So rising wedges break down 68% of the time. So it's just one thing that you have to be cautious of. It's one thing that you want to be paying close attention to. So that's kind of what we're watching on the monthly. It would be really preferable if this kind of stayed strong, but right now that doesn't look amazing. So the monthly has me somewhat concerned that there could be a deeper pullback. The 2-week chart as well, which closes in 2 days and 8 hours, would close with a pretty big wick to the upside, from the upside, you know, pointing down. But the cool thing is we do have some strong support at 108. We got some support at 114. We'll take it one step at a time. Like right now, the weekly support really is sitting right there at about 108.9, 109, and then right there at 114. What we didn't want to see is what we're doing now is the first break, and this is our first support on the weekly, which is about 117,200, and today we're breaking it. And that tells me that we could come right back down to 114. There's just really nothing stopping us on that weekly. And if you can break 114, you could come to 109. So just this break at 117 is a possibility of 109 now. You have to understand. You stayed above it, then 109 wasn't really an option. Now it's possible. So I'm always preemptive about the next bigger move from the move that we get, right? Instead of being like, oh, you know, you want to see what could happen if you lose that level. Well, what's your next level? So you're technically on your way towards the lower level if you even begin to break. So, and that's how I play it, and it's better off to play it that way. So 116,945. It looks like the 5-day chart is going to make a bearish engulfing candle or attempt to. It would be nice if this at least closed with the wick, but this closes in 3 days and 8 hours. It has a lot of time to play games there. 3-day chart closes in tomorrow night, and that would close bearish engulfing, and there's a bearish divergence, which tells me why wouldn't we just start to dump to the downside? So right now, I mean, after today, things were a little red yesterday. We were looking for the bounce, and then today kind of wants to carry over. So if today doesn't say no way here on the daily and start to kind of reverse, or at least maybe tonight, so I'd be okay with today to stay red because, you know, you got 2 red candles. As long as we don't breach this trend line, you close a red candle here. But basically, Saturday and Sunday, we have to reverse. If we don't, this is dropping, losing the trend line. If we lose the trend line, we have to start thinking that 109 is coming, and then we could start talking about 100. And then there's a lot of bearish sentiment that moves in across crypto Twitter. The bull market's over, a lot of selling, and it just, liquidity gets crazy again. So we gotta, a bounce would be so preferable this weekend, and it's tough on the weekends too with the low volume. So I have to be honest, right now there's bearish div on the daily and the 3-day. You had a bearish engulfing candle. This candle is also carrying over. And I mean, right now you have to say it's more likely we're going to be dumping somewhere down to 108 than doing anything else. But we could get a break. So what you're watching for in the next few days is a bounce. It would be awesome if next week, you know, next basically Friday on the 22nd, when I'm doing my macro, we're somewhere over here. We did a little dip and we've bounced and we've recovered back to the upside. It'll be a lot. You know, that's what we're looking for. Otherwise, you lose this trend line. I mean, you got to start thinking that there's a gap down there, 104, 108, man. So right now, I'm more bearish than bullish. Bitcoin looks more bearish, and it has to show me a bounce. If not, It's going lower. So right now I'm more convinced Bitcoin's dropping than not. It's got to be able to bounce in the next couple of days, and that's your macro outlook for Bitcoin. Total is the entire market cap of all of the altcoins excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it's in the same boat, right? It's right here. It's a little higher of a low, though, and it's kind of right on resistance as support, so it's a little stronger, showing some more. But you got to get a bounce here and consolidate. And that's okay. We could, our rate cut is coming September 15th, so September 17th, a month and 2 days. That's what we're looking for, but this has to stay tight. Sad thing is, it could make a right shoulder and then just kind of plummet down, too. So I don't know. I'm not in love with what I'm seeing right now. Price actually would have to take a turn and start to show me some more bullishness. What we're looking for is a bounce here and just stay tight inside this area. And then bang, somewhere by September 14th in a month. But it does look like we have sideways price action for the next month. And we're going to kind of slow down and struggle a little bit. August into September are usually the worst months. September is usually the worst month to trade. I've never remember a great September. I think it's happened a couple times, once or twice. But mostly September is just really, really nasty month. But again, anything could happen. But total also needs that bounce off of 389 trillion. Otherwise, it makes it could even make a head and shoulder, as I showed you, and that could be even more dumpage. That brings us to total 3, the entire market cap of all the altcoins, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. We talked about being in this little flag, right? And it kind of broke out of it, but then got really tight inside yet again. And we've been watching this as it gets very, very, very tight. And it looks like it could make an M, and then the M could dump on you too. So you got a major resistance right there on these alts at 1.1 trill. And if you lose $1 trillion, that's so psychological, right? You don't want to do that for the altcoins. This is total 3, all the altcoins. I mean, the M suggests you could be going lower to 771. We need this to kind of stay high, stay inside here, or even start to break out of the smaller channel. Usually I can see a better probability. Right now, we'll tell you, the moving averages were tight, and they're still close together. That tells me that this is just a little scare off. We're more likely to pump. So based on the moving averages, I am going to tell you that it's likely we're going to pump here. It's just going to be a rocky little bit of a road and some sideways price action. And maybe not until the rate cut comes. Like, it looks like it's going to be a month of sideways price action till we get the cut, and then we're going to get a monster move to the upside. And it just, as predictable as that is, it looks exactly what's going to happen based on the charts too. And show me the charts, and I'll show you the news. So that's just kind of what I'm seeing. For a total 3, the entire market cap of all the cryptocurrencies, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Then we also want to take a look now at Bitcoin dominance. I want to see how much money is flowing in or out of Bitcoin. And right now, Bitcoin dominance was looking like it wanted to make a comeback. Not the best sign. On the daily, it's oversold. It looks like it could slump down more. So let's just take a look at it again, all by itself. Last time I looked at it, I wanted more downside. We got that. We got more dumpage. Everything kind of went our way since the last time I was here with you on the macro analysis. We got exactly what we were looking for. We got more pumps. But then towards the week on Thursday, right, everything changed with that PPI. And that's when we got the slump. And now we're back here on Friday kind of reassessing what happened. So everything was going golden, and we did get the bounce. But now we're kind of sitting in limbo here. So we look on. This is Bitcoin dominance. And what we don't want to see, we have bullish divergence right there. A possible break back to the upside. You got previous resistance, which was a support, which we would like to stay below. And it looks to me like you're making some type of shoulder, head, right shoulder. Not the worst. It could still continue lower if it makes a bit of a flag. And that's what we'd be looking for. But wow, there's a chance. So watch this. If I give the next, this is the 8-hour time frame. So we'll get some good candles to close here. And by 3 days from now, this might be making a right shoulder. That's going to be something you have to pay very close attention to if you're looking for alt season. Then we want to look at U.S. Tether dominance. Is that making a comeback inside of an inverted? And it is. It made an inverted head and shoulder right here. It looks like it's going to continue to pump. If Tether dominance decides to pump, that's kind of telling me that Bitcoin's going to dump too as well. So it's almost like we're looking for that head and shoulder on the 4-hour that Bitcoin's in to dump and this to pump. And it's all setting up right here. Unless we get rejected by the 200, the odds are in the favor of Tether dominance getting the pump. So be careful. This looks like it could be some slumpage and some down in the crypto market here for a while. And then I slip on to the DXY because The DXY goes hand in hand, but the DXY has been more bearish. It's been dropping off, losing more value. They've printed money left and right. It isn't a bit of a falling wedge. There's a chance we get this little cool off on the altcoin slump down, Bitcoin, but eventually over time, I do see the DXY continuing to dump, and I see it headed further down to a bigger target as well. So not a lot of faith in the DXY, but that doesn't matter. Tether dominance is nothing, even though it's the dollar, it's still not 100, it's not pegged. It's really how much money is flowing in and out of Tether because of cryptocurrency. So like if there was only 2 coins and you had the DXY and one coin got exploited and people ran out of it and the DXY pumped, it would have nothing to do with the DXY, right? So even though Tether dominance and the DXY are somewhat correlated, of course, because Tether is based off of the dollar, there's still other outlining pressure on Tether that isn't on the DXY due to its demand, right? Or lack of when people want to get into altcoins. Moving forward with that idea, we'll take a look at the S&P futures. We talked about the S&P continuing to rally. I actually saw that it would maybe go more sideways as I projected it. The flag ended up being far more aggressive and tight, and it did end up breaking out. And now it's back above some key levels. A lot of people are calling for, it's the all-time high. We have to get a dump. But if they continue to print money, where does the value go? It goes into the stock market. So this tells me that, we're on the brink of, getting very, we're a little extended for sure. Look for this bounce. So kind of like Bitcoin, you kind of get that bounce, you get tight. And it says when we're back basically next week, we actually should have broken out possibly and been somewhere up in here. So I'm looking for the S&P to be higher than it is when I come back next week on the macro technical analysis. Let's look at the NASDAQ. That should have basically a very similar outcome. Not as great. It pumped and then came back down. I'm looking for the bullish retest. I'm looking for the NASDAQ to bounce here off the top of this trend line and show me some love. I'm actually in a trade on the NASDAQ right now, and I would like it to bounce. So we're looking for the NASDAQ to get a beautiful bounce here off the top of this channel that we've made, this candle, this ascending triangle, however you want to look at it. It would be really nice if it can do that. You could extend it possibly and say it's in a bigger channel. I get it, but it's sloppier than where it was. So I like it. I want to see it bounce off of what it looks to me like a bullish retest of this previous resistance become support. You lose that, that's going to break down right back to 23.5 and then lower. So I'm not trying to tell you what's exactly going to happen. I'm trying to get you ready for anything. That's the point of these. I am more bullish or bearish at times to try to, because I believe the probability is better in your favor to lean one way. But right now it could go either way. We are oversold. I'm looking for this retest. We got to get the bounce there. Doesn't look amazing too with Tether and the DXY. So I don't know. This looks a little more bearish than the S&P. S&P looks better for whatever reason. It didn't. The NASDAQ came all the way right back. The S&P still kind of flagging out above the bigger flag. So you got to get an SR flip, which is support or resistance. Previous resistance becomes support. Get that bounce. And last but not least, gold. Gold looked good to me. I was in a trade on gold on the flag, and it looked like it could play out. Let's take a look at the bigger flag here for gold. So yeah, I see gold making its move, but it's going to take some time. Up, down, up, down, up, down, right? Trotting around, and it may get tighter. It may be, inside of here when it happens. But I see gold breaking out somewhere by September 5th as they front run the rate cuts. And I do see gold going all the way up to $3,800 an ounce somewhere into November, which would be crazy. So it does suggest the rally is coming, and even gold is showing signs of a pump. Everybody, that is your macro technical analysis video. I hope you loved it. I hope you had a blast. I hope it gave you insight you didn't see and made you kind of think about what really makes the market move and what probabilities you can look for to be better well equipped to handle the ups and downs that are coming for the week ahead. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw here, I go live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. I also do an impromptu live stream on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, to show you the kind of updates you would get if you were in the Discord. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Crypto is life.